Buenos días, bienvenidos al Festival de Capstone de la Escuela de Humanidades y Comunicación 2019. Primeramente, queremos agradecer a Capuli y a Cuauli por su presentación hoy y por abrir nuestro festival. Mi nombre es Ayana García y seré su maestra de ceremonias. Es un placer compartir este momento tan especial con todos ustedes el día de hoy y con nuestros amigos y familiares por medio de Facebook Live. También pedimos a favor que esperen hasta después de la traducción en inglés para aplaudir.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the School of Humanities Communication Spring 2019 Capstone Festival. First, we would like to thank Capuli y Cuauli for their presentation and for opening our festival. My name is Sonia Olmos, and I will serve as the English-speaking Master of Ceremonies. We are very pleased to share this special event with all of you today and with our friends and family via Facebook Live.
Le queremos dar las gracias a todos los estudiantes, a nuestros padres, familiares y amigos, así como a todos los presentadores, profesores y el personal de la Universidad Estatal California de Bahía de Monterrey.
Now we would like to thank the students, families, and friends who have joined us today. Equally so, we wish to thank the faculty and staff of California State University, Monterey Bay for their commitment to the CSUMB vision statement.
Los proyectos de Capstone que ustedes verán hoy reflejan el trabajo de los estudiantes del programa de Humanidades y Comunicación y su concentración en varias áreas de estudio. Esos proyectos representan nuestro trabajo y esfuerzo para traer a luz temas de gran interés para cada uno de nosotros. Y además, los proyectos muestran nuestro crecimiento intelectual y personal y reflejan el apoyo de nuestros profesores.
The capstone projects you will see today reflect the work of students majoring in humanities and communication with the concentration in a number of study areas. They are a representation of our hard work and effort to bring to light issues we are passionate about. These projects represent our intellectual and personal growth and reflect the support of our professors.
Este año tenemos 4 secciones del curso de Capstone y cada sección se ha dedicado a explorar una temática en particular. El primer tema es Identidad Sociales, Política y Progreso, liderado por la doctora María Villaseñor. El segundo tema es Diáspora, dirigido por el doctor Umi Bond. El tercer tema es Poder, Privilegio y Lugar, liderado por la doctora Kelly Medina López. Y el cuarto tema es Estudios Críticos de Justicia y Legalidad, bajo la dirección de la doctora Stephanie Spoto.
This year we have 4 sections of our senior capstone course. Each section has devoted its efforts to explore a particular theme. The first theme is Social Identity Politics and the Way Forward, led by Dr. María Villaseñor. The second theme is Diaspora, led by Dr. Umi Bond. The third theme is Power, Privilege, Place, led by Dr. Kelly Medina Lopez. And the last theme is Critical Legal Studies and Critiques of Justice, led by Dr. Stephanie Spoto.
Los estudiantes han tenido la opción de adentrarse en estos temas a través de las siguientes modalidades: haciendo un trabajo de investigación, participando en una práctica profesional o realizando un proyecto creativo.
Students in each section have been led to explore these themes by working on any of the following options: a research paper, an internship, or a creative project.
Nuestro festival incluye una variedad de proyectos y una galería de carteles donde ustedes podrán apreciar los trabajos y hablar con los estudiantes sobre sus experiencias. Estudiantes de cada clase fueron seleccionados para presentar oralmente una muestra representativa de los proyectos. Estas presentaciones proveerán más información sobre el tema de cada clase.
Today's festival showcases a variety of projects presented in a poster gallery where you can appreciate them and also interact with the scholars about their experiences. Students from each Capstone section were selected to orally present a representative sampling of projects from their classes. These presentations will provide further insight into the themes their classes explored.
Ahora, nos gustaría invitar a la doctora de la Escuela de Humanidades y Comunicación, doctora Sam Robinson, a darle su bienvenida al Festival de Primavera de Capstone 2019.
And now we would like to invite the Chair of School of Humanities and Communication, Dr. Sam Robinson, to personally welcome you to the Spring 2019 Capstone Festival.
Well, hello. Thank you for being here today. It means a lot to me to see so many people out this morning. I want to tell the students, many of whom I met during HCOM 300 Major Pro Seminar, congratulations. You have worked so hard, and to see the growth in you over the time that you've been here is really impressive. And I want you to take today, and if you're going through commencement tomorrow, to just really savor the moment and reflect on what you've done. It's phenomenal. Can we give them a round of applause? I also want to say thank you to the HCOM faculty. You guys are phenomenal. You made it too. Congratulations. I'd like to thank the Capstone Council for all of your hard work and the HCOM office staff for doing everything that they had to do today to make this happen. It's a lot of work. They started early on in the semester, and we really couldn't have done it. So thank you to the Capstone Council and to Isabel and Wendy for helping to make today happen. Well, I think we should just get right into the presentations. Again, I'm just so proud of all of you. I look forward to meeting your families if I can, and I wish you all the best for the future because I know you're going to make it better, which we really need. Thank you.
Gracias, doctora Robinson, por sus palabras de bienvenida. Y ahora vamos a presentarles los ponentes que han sido seleccionados de cada clase de Capstone.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson, for your welcome. And we would like to begin with the oral presentations prepared by the selected presenters from each section.
A continuación, damos la bienvenida a nuestros ponentes presentando el tema Identidades Sociales, Política y Progreso.
Please join us in welcoming our first presenters in representing the theme Social Identity, Politics, and the Way Forward. Hannah Parker, Sebastian Roddy, and Vanessa Hernandez.
Hello. Hi, my name is Hannah Park, and my project title is called Lovesick. It's funny how the music puts the time in perspective, add a soundtrack to your life, and perfect it. Quoted from the song Lovesick Part 3. This wasn't the catalyst to my project, but it does explain what and maybe why I brought this story to life. Lovesick is a 6-part short story about a drug that cures heartbreak, aptly called Lovesick. Within the first 4 stories, it's a new person with a new perspective, all of them suffering under the influence of lovesick. The final 2 culminates towards a climax. Is the world safe from lovesick, or does the world need it? And who gave such a potent drug to these clueless young people? Well, he's only known as the Shadow Man. He wears a long trench coat that hides his whole body and a giant wide-brimmed hat that shrouds half of his face, all except for a smile. Who is he, and what does he want? This is an excerpt from the first short story. I make my way back home without getting a bite to eat, nor say my greetings to Miss Holly. I think she asked why I'm back so soon, but I just ignored her. Opening the front door, the man is already there, sitting on my couch with a little box in his hands. He gave me his smile. Glad to see you home, Johnny boy. How are you feeling right now? Nervous, uncomfortable. It's all right. I told you, I'm your thoughts and feelings. Everything that you felt until this point is all stored in me. Don't be shy now, let me in the know, or else the drug ain't gonna work that well. It only works when I'm sad, huh? I already feel like crap. Does that count as feeling sad? It could. Directions ain't so specific on this box. The man turns the box over and over. I mean, there's nothing on it to tell me if it'll work in your state right now. But if you are feeling some sort of heartbreak, then let's give it a try, huh? He holds the small white box out to me. I gingerly grab it and look it over. All sides are blank, except for one with lovesick written in cursive, and the eye has a broken heart over it. I opened the box carefully, and out came a little Tylenol-looking pill. Instead of Tylenol written on it, it says lovesick. He holds a cup of water in his hand, and I could see that it was all black, almost looking like slime or tar. I glance up at his face, but he shows nothing under that hat, nothing but his smile. I took one pill, placed it on my tongue, and took a long sip. And in that instant, something grew inside me. It was either a sense of foreboding or a sense of freedom that I couldn't describe. The world became fuzzy, and I feel like I couldn't see anything. I could feel my hand brush over my face, but it was too blurred for me to see properly. My head was starting to feel stuffy and heavy, and it felt like it was inflating. Before I completely lost distinction, the man in the trench coat leans down to my level, and his smile melts away as he watches me. I sit down on my couch and stare into eternity. I faintly hear the man say before I close my eyes, "From the bottom of my heart, Johnny, feel better. Thank you." And up next is Sebastian Roti.
Good morning, everyone. Hello, my name is Sebastian Roti, and I am an international student from Norway. My capstone project was in form of an internship where I served at an organization called Youth Now, which is located in Watsonville. Youth Now is an after-school program which serves to create a safe space for youth in Watsonville to be involved in academic, pro-social activities. My role was called academic intern, where I would tutor through personalized contracted tutoring, homework help, and organize learning materials for primarily middle schoolers. So my theme is social identities, politics, and the way forward. So during my time in Youth Now, I had a lot of conversations with the youth, and I noticed that Watsonville is a rural town with a deeply engraved history into hardworking families, heavily invested in physical labor and agriculture. So a lot of the kids that I was tutoring do not have know many individuals with college experience. In addition to this, and the financial concerns of going to college, it makes a lot of them skeptical of completing high school or ever getting into college. In Norway, education is free. In addition to this, I grew up with being surrounded by everyone else going to college. So I never had a concern about being able to enter college in my future. I think that a 12-year-old should not be worried about getting into high school. So yeah. For politics, one day I was tutoring a student that I noticed had metal fillings in his teeth. This struck me particularly hard because of my own past. When I was 8 years old, I had 10 cavities at my teeth at the same time. In Norway, we have universal health care, which means that the dental organization tracks you down and checks your teeth and fixes your teeth for free as long as you're under 18 years old. So just like seeing someone that has to grow up through his teens and being conscious about how his teeth looks shocked me particularly hard, and it reflects a little bit maybe how we want to vote in this country in terms of politics and what we prioritize. Lastly, in my experience at Youth Now, I kind of understood like the value. I was able to realize my toolkit and see what impact I could have in society. And in Norway, although the government takes on a lot of the social responsibilities, which is great, it doesn't encourage individuals to step up and connect their education with having a great impact on society. So I am very thankful for that. Yeah, thank you. And now I welcome Vanessa Hernandez to pray with us.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vanessa Hernandez, and my project is a research essay titled Rompiendo Silencio, Creating Dialogue About Sex and the Body in Latinx Communities. My essay combines the theoretical frameworks of Chicana feminisms and cooperative argumentation from the field of communication studies. Chicana feminisms challenges stigmatization on the basis of sexuality, race, and ethnicity, class, and gender. Cooperative argumentation challenges principles germane to the dominant culture in the United States during the 20th century, including the basic tenets of competition, individualism, and winner takes all. My intention with this project was to research traditional views on sex, menstruation, virginity, and the body in order to understand the silence surrounding these topics and provide effective ways to have these conversations. The silence has made many young Chicanas and Latinas not know the correct information, created insecurities and uncomfortability when talking about anything related to the body. As a young girl, when your body is changing, you have so many questions, like, is my body okay? Am I the only one that this is happening to? And of course, for many of us, we like to reach out to our family members for those answers. However, in Latinx culture, it is not common for topics like these to be mentioned in conversations. Oftentimes, the reason for this is because of traditional beliefs. It's more common to hear judgmental comments about sex and the body rather than educational dialogue. As a little girl, I recall having to be very discreet about when I began menstruation. Mommy always told me to wrap the pad around the toilet paper so that no one knew what was happening. We never talked about the changes my body would go through, but instead I just got told, ya eres una señorita, y no dejes que ningún muchacho te toque, referring to my womanhood and how the way that guy saw me was going to change. There was also never any real dialogue about sex or ways to have safe sex, mostly because in Latinx culture, the religious belief is to wait until marriage. The cultural and religious beliefs about having premarital sex led to the silence about sex unless, again, it was about judging someone. There's often comments about, mira, ya tiene novio, dile que tenga cuidado, meaning to not have sex, but it was never referred directly. To start breaking the silence, we can begin to challenge traditional beliefs when talking to young Chicanas and Latinas, making them more comfortable rather than ashamed for bringing up sex, virginity, and menstruation. For example, being open-minded and willing to learn can help a mother who has followed traditional beliefs to be able to understand that her daughter might have different views, but still being able to respect each other. Though talking about sex and the body can be awkward, we can begin breaking the silence by starting that conversation today. Thank you.
Y ahora damos la bienvenida a los siguientes ponentes presentando el tema de diáspora.
And now please join us in welcoming our second set of presenters and representing the theme diaspora.
Megan Weston, Zoe Politis, and Robin McCampbell.
Hello, my name is Megan Weston, and my capstone project is called Her Heart is at Home, a journey into 3 generations of diaspora. My project is a creative exploration of the effects diaspora has on multiple generations. My grandmother immigrated to the United States while pregnant with my mother. But my mother spent a large portion of her childhood in her mother's homeland of Teocaltiche, Mexico. I, on the other hand, have lived in America all of my life. Unlike my mother and grandmother, who are 100% Mexican, I am a biracial, white-passing Latina. My project features poetry and reflective essays dealing with our three generations and the differences in our experiences, with topics ranging from language, identity, privilege, and pride. This project is also my way of honoring my mother and the sacrifices she has made for me. I wouldn't be standing here today without her, and I owe everything to her and my father. Gracias, mamá. Today, I would like to read one of my poems from my collection for you. It is called, But She's Enough for Me. My mother was born in the States, but was swiftly taken home to Teocaltiche, Mexico, the land of her father and mother, and therefore the land of her blood. Raised on a farm surrounded by God's creations, she spoke perfect Spanish and was seen as a bright, independent girl. Beloved by her family and community, my mother was seen as the adorable traviesita, troublemaker. When my mother came back to the U.S., her English was subpar and she was uncharacteristically quiet. Instead of taking any time to get to know her, school administrators labeled her as challenged and threw her to the system. Despite the educational and social shackles tightening around her wrists, my mother thrived. Naturally brilliant and hardworking, she broke the chains of oppression that would have crushed a normal person. The chains that break immigrant children every day. Our system tried to tell her that she wasn't enough. Nada. As my mother grew, she started to shed the shackles of her own Mexican community. She turned her back to their traditional upbringing to become the person she wanted to be. It's not ladylike to go to college, so she got a degree in a male-dominated field. Women should listen to their husbands, so she became feisty and strong. You should have children right away, so she thrived in her career. Don't move far from your family, so she built the life she demanded for herself. As she paved the road of her life, she strayed away from the traditional values she was raised on. She caused controversy, a traviesa through and through. Her family tried to tell her she wasn't enough. Nada. My mother is the child of an immigrant, but she's also an immigrant herself. She never felt confined to the restrictions of her homeland or hostland, and therefore she was never enough for either culture. Too Mexican to be truly American, too American to be truly Mexican. Never enough. But she is enough for me. I look at my mother and see a spirit that simply cannot be tamed. I see a strong Mexican-American mother, a bold, brave, fearless spirit that cannot be defined by borders or tradition. My mother cannot be defined by you or anyone else. My mother is simply enough. Thank you. Next up, please welcome Zoe Politis.
Good morning. My name is Zoe Politis, and this is my capstone presentation. When this capstone project was first assigned, the choice to go creative with it was pretty simple. However, it was not easy for me to find my creative process. It took several weeks into the course for me to truly grasp what the actual concept of diaspora, and only then I was able to start thinking about how the rest of my project was going to fall into place. I chose to do an anthology because I had so many ideas and stories going through my head, I didn't know how to narrow things down. I took several drafts, class readings, and talked with friends and actual family members to figure out the creative direction in which I was going to go. In the end, the result was this: The Dimensions of Difference, an Anthology of Diaspora. For those unfamiliar with the topic of diaspora, please take a moment to observe the vocabulary list above to better understand. I felt as though an anthology would be aesthetically pleasing to readers, keeping their minds opened as well as entertained. The anthology consists of 3 stories, all set up from different perspectives of people from around the globe, now stationed or living in America. I also added several short poems with mechanical rhyme schemes, and I did this so that readers would grasp their own feel for diaspora and try to see the different points of view about several cultures other than their own. The purpose of this project was to inspire, provoke, and entertain. These stories were written as nonfiction, but with the influence of people that I've known and still do know in my own life. This was to personally attach readers and to help them understand that diaspora has affected everyone's lives differently. The project itself and the theme of diaspora places my project into a larger social, cultural, and historical context by inspiring people to think about where they come from their cultural past, norms, and how it affects them presently. In coming to the conclusion, I cannot help but feel as though choosing a creative option was the right opportunity for me to dig deeper into the concept of diaspora than I ever had imagined. It wasn't an easy process, but I couldn't be happier with the result of my anthology due to my newly articulated connection between diaspora and my own self-identity. That being said, I would like to share a short piece from my anthology titled A Fine Line, giving you a glimpse into my work. A fine line. Sometimes there is no fine line. You don't know what there is to define. How to see yourself is how others make you, picking at history's flaws, past, present, anything will do. There is no fine line with language. Oh, you can't manage to speak the same tongue as mine? Just because I can't, that doesn't make you divine. Do not confine me for my loss of words. You're encouraging me to remain unheard. There is no fine line with tradition. You moved, so what? Go into remission? Turn your back on what you know, make a transition. Your religious cognition, ways of life, family tree. Are you the only one who will break the branch and set yourself free? Sometimes there is no fine line. It's your time to decide between pastime and a lifetime. Thank you. Now please welcome Robin McCammell.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Robin McCammell, and my concentration is English Studies. My capstone project is titled My Big Fat Misrepresented Syrian American Life, a collection of personal poems and short stories exploring the effects of diaspora. This project is an analysis of myself, my Syrian culture, and how being raised in the United States has influenced my life in all aspects. This anthology includes 3 short stories and 12 poems. My project is broken down into 3 distinct chapters: origins, language, and representation, all of which are major factors of diaspora. The first poem I'll be reading for you comes from the chapter on origins, my beginnings, while the following poem comes from the representation chapter and what I hope will be represented of Arabs in the community and in media. I hope you enjoy them. My first poem is titled Where I'm From. I am from fresh-baked pita bread, from Pepsi and Skitless. I am from that humble American 2-story house in the cul-de-sac with the extra-large driveway to play in. I am from chickpeas and za'atar, just the right amount of bitter. From the religious summer holidays, cooking kubbi for family coming to visit and accents as thick as our unibrows. I am from names like Shamsi, Barakat, Musa, and Hadwi. I'm from a stubbornness that no Jahsh could ever dare match. From loud conversations that wake the neighbors at 3 a.m. Stop hogging the argili and love everyone, but trust no one, habibte. I'm from the ethereal depictions of Jesus hanging on the walls and casually counting rosary beads with every passing second. I'm from Syria and America, nihi and homemade hamburgers. I'm from the thick burnt oil smell that lingers after mama makes greasy batata and falafel for vegan siyam before Easter. I'm from the tragic loss of 2 grandparents, a pair gone from the village of 6 parents that raised me. I'm from the stacks of family pictures on the coffee table in the corner of the most welcoming living room in America on Goldie Street. Because after all, who really is grandma's favorite? The answer for everyone has always been the same: me. I am from Beit Shammel, a long lineage of priests and holy people. I am from a family of unrelenting strength, power, discipline, culture, tradition, and overwhelming love. I am from the ancestors that came before me and that my kin will come from, long after I have turned to ash, fine as sand blowing in the wind. The second poem is titled Different Enough to Hate, Not Different Enough to Count. Are we so offensive that you must dismiss us from your census? Rights denied because of the sound of our names and the thickness of our accents or unibrows? Blind to us, you ignore our voices and sing for more representation while snubbing us entirely. Every day, we watch in horror as you overlook our presence. Xerox printed pages with boxes we're meant to fill in indicate just how unaware you are. So easy to forget about us when we're not integrated on the document, listing deceptive shades and identities. You control all statistics, observe and research them, all the while undermining the power of our influence. Can't you see we're just like you? Are you so misled by terrorism, something we have nothing to do with, that you willingly disregard and label all of us as villains? Every day, we watch silently in horror as you overlook our dignity. Reading news of our beloved homeland that you view as vile and uncivilized, malicious and misunderstood, seething as you tear us apart with aversion and ink. Even though all we want is to live our own American dream. Under your authority, our sobs are squished down in our throats. Screams for change silenced as you snipe us on clean American soil. Thank you.
Hola, ahora le damos la bienvenida al tercer grupo de ponentes presentando el tema de poder, privilegio y lugar.
Please join us in welcoming our third group of presenters in representing the theme Power, Privilege, and Place. Elise Dooley, Joshua Reeves, and Arturo Munoz.
Hi everyone, my name is Elise Dooley, and I'm taking Capstone Section 3 with the theme of Power, Privilege, and Place. I did a creative project that examines gun violence through our shared theme. The number 1,200 in my title represents the number of children who have been killed by guns in the United States since the Parkland shooting. My motivation behind creating this project comes from a both painful and personal experience. My senior year of high school, my friend Alex Marshall and his sister Michaela Marshall were abruptly taken by firearm violence. And ever since this happened, I've dedicated much of my collegiate work to encourage others to take bold action and to listen and to invest in the communities that have been shattered by trauma left in the gun violence's wake. I've also sought to inspire our youth and the future generations to reclaim the debate on gun violence and to encourage our youth to resist against the forces that would like to normalize the fear many of us experience when entering our houses of worship, our schools, or even our movie theaters. With that being said, in order to understand my senior project, there are two main points that I want to examine. First, we're going to look at what a program oral interpretation is, and then we're going to examine the concrete ways in which my project relates to our capstone theme. So what is a program oral interpretation? It's a 10 to 20 minute performance piece that uses some existing combination of prose, poetry, drama, or media to create a singular narrative. I've used my work produced in other classes as well as prose, poetry, drama, and specifically many news media sources. What's difficult about program oral interpretation is that it requires the author or the editor to let go of the idea of a traditional understanding of storytelling and how to write. And it allows the compiler's rhetoric and argument to come into fruition through use of narrative, story, culture, characterization, body language, paralinguistics, and more. In a way, the editor is putting together an oratorical puzzle that has no set shapes, no set pieces that are meant to fit together, and the compiler is both the creator and the player. And this aspect of program oral interpretation makes it quite the challenge, but also a very rewarding experience once finished. Now that you have an understanding of what POI is, let's look and talk about my project and how it relates to the themes of our capstone course. 14 students died on February 14th, 2018 in Parkland, Florida, inspiring student-led marches and calls to stop the onslaught of gun deaths. However, in the year since, little policy has been made by lawmakers. There's still pandering, there's still partisanship, and there's still rhetorical violence, and nearly 1,200 more children have lost their lives to guns in this country. This failure of justice for our youth warrants investigation. Just as when there is a problem in our lives, We stop where we are, we retrace our steps, and we want to do this to understand where we went wrong and how we can act better in the future. Through analyzing the media's coverage and public response to the Parkland shooting, we can see the ideological underpinnings of ageism, racism, and placism that perpetuate the onslaught of gun violence for certain underprivileged populations, such as our youth, our inner cities, and Black and brown minorities. My original collection of discourse is an oral interpretation of a wide range of voices responding to the Parkland shooting, and through illuminating these voices, my piece ultimately seeks to ask a question of the activism we choose to acknowledge and the activism we choose to ignore. Thank you. Next, I'll proudly introduce Joshua Reeves.
Hello, my name is Joshua Reeves. My concentration is in the field of journalism. For my capstone project, I received an internship in the office of California Congressman Jimmy Panetta. Now, before I start, I just want to make a quick plea. If you contact any public office, please give your full name. I can't tell you how many times I've had to toss aside a constituent's opinion just because we couldn't identify who sent it. And that's not a joke, I really can't tell you. To protect our constituents' private information, we have to abide by non-disclosure agreements, which limits what I can discuss about my experiences. What I can talk about is what my general responsibilities were, just no specifics about them. I answered phone calls from constituents, filed mail that came to the office, passed along messages to the staff. Basically, I was a secretary. I learned lessons and skills you would probably expect me to. Organization, communicating on a professional level, time management, so on. But something I did not expect to gain experience in was this: knowing when to shut up. Let me explain. When speaking with constituents, my job was to take their opinions and concerns and pass them along to the congressman, not to get bogged down in debating those opinions. California is a vastly diverse state, and as such, its political spectrum is equally diverse. Every now and then, someone with unconventional political beliefs would call the office, and I'd be the lucky guy to answer the phone. And there have been times I wanted to challenge a constituent on their opinions, but I'd have to hold my tongue because doing so was not my job. And that is an invaluable skill to have as a communications major, knowing when to speak and knowing when to listen. Going back to my capstone project, I was fortunate enough to staff one of the office's events this semester that did not fall under the NDA agreement, a Democratic gala in Santa Cruz. One aspect of Congressman Panetta's governing is his unwavering commitment to bipartisan leadership. And if you do not know what that means, partisanship is to govern based on what is best for the political party over what's best for the country. Bipartisanship is attempting to govern cooperatively with all parties involved. While Congressman Panetta has committed to a collaborative method of leadership, not all in government agree with that approach, which was proven to me beyond a reasonable doubt at the Santa Cruz Gala. This gala was, in a matter of speaking, a campaign event for the Democratic Party. Awards were given at this gala based explicitly on partisan ideals. 2 people were recognized as Democrats of the Year. The moment those words were spoken out loud, I realized how ingrained this sense of competition in American politics is. And I think that Congressman Panetta's bipartisan approach, while it is not perfect, is the best path forward. So I ask you, the next election you vote in, do not cast your vote specifically on the basis of who is blue and who is red, or who is liberal and who is conservative. Vote for who you think will make the best leader. Thank you. And now, please welcome Arturo Munoz.
How y'all doing? In the barrio of the heavenly streets. If tomorrow comes to die, keep este. If tomorrow comes to die, let my soul rise to the blue sky. May my soul rest in peace in the barrio of the heavenly streets. Where young homies and OGs can finally breathe free and just be. When there ain't no police, then demons don't make it past heaven's gates. So if it's my fate to rest at a young age, my words made its way to the right place, to the hands of a young brown soul, a wise thug, whom I forever protect from the heavens above. Although my body will no longer stroll through this earth, I'll be an angel on your shoulder among the demons of this world. For I will not leave without a fight, or leave you to fight alone. My heart is set in stone to create a better home for our own. Because this young brown soul was often not expected to survive. Yet here I still stand, shining light in my story of my kind. But if tomorrow comes to die, don't you cry. Keep your head high, let my soul rise to the blue sky. May my soul rest in peace in the body of the heavenly streets. As a long living memory, as an ancestor to the generations yet to breathe. In the body of the heavenly streets is the name of my Capstone project. It is the nombre de la colección de poesía in which I will come to publish this year. In the body of the heavenly streets is the name of one of my poems, the main poem, the main piece of arte, which I hold close to my corazón. Órale. The purpose of my libro is to reclaim my historias, retell my stories, written by someone from the barrio. I wrote my poems to tell you I'm more than what you think a cholo's meant to be. I'm a romantic, trust me. I know how to cook, I read books, and I have feelings too. Poetry is a way for me to reflect, takes my mind to places where history books just cannot, making sense of my past, present, and future. Our future son nuestras semillas, our youth, who I love, who I hope I can touch with this collection of poetry, with my presence, and hopefully with my podcast, for the Barrios podcast, on Spotify, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts. Now we're the Barrios, for the Barrios. So when I see my youth, I see them sacred. They too carry wisdom. They too carry strength. They too make me smile. And also make me cry. They make me cry. I just hope a lot of us go to support their journey and finding themselves, their own voice, their own worth, their own self-love. With self-love, there's much healing to be done. But in my community, writing my poetry was hard, but with the ink, healing, others can heal. Velas mis candles, and it's also my placas, my folder. Velas, they burn slowly, warmth and light to this world in any given space. So as for as I live, I'll too continue to love and bring change. Mi colección de poesía, these words of mine, will for sure going to transform lives of those who I'll yet. They'll enter places where I'll never come to be. And when my time comes, my words, my poems, my podcast will live on forever, bringing warmth and light forever into this world. Por eso quiero que piensen de mis poesías como un regalo, un regalo que por siempre llevarán dentro de sus manos y sus almas para siempre. Gracias, Tlaxcamati.
Y ahora le damos la bienvenida al cuarto y final grupo de ponentes presentando el tema de estudios críticos de justicia y legalidad.
We would now like to present the fourth and final group of speakers representing the theme Critical Legal Studies and Critiques of Justice.
Yesenia Perez y Caroline Carroll.
Hi everyone, my name is Yesenia Perez and my concentration is pre-law and the theme of my project is language justice in relation to the justice gap. When I was presented with the options for completing my project, I chose to do an internship because I wanted to apply the theory of law that I was learning in class to the practice of law in the field. I completed my internship project at California Rural Legal Assistance, which is a nonprofit legal aid office in Salinas, whose mission is to fight for justice in exploited communities. While I was an intern there, I saw that the clientele consists of predominantly Hispanic and indigenous people who were preconditioned to believe that they had no justice to fight for but were hopeful for the chance to. This observation intrigued me because it forced me to critically analyze the justice gap that exists right here in our own community. We know it exists because there's a gap between minorities and access to resources, but what's often overlooked is language access, which presents an additional barrier. And though this may seem insignificant, it's actually very significant because it exposes a major flaw in our legal system that contradicts the 5th and 14th Amendment due process clause, as well as other legal doctrines that promote, protect equal protection, equal justice, and equal access. So as you can see, in theory, equality sounds promising, but in practice it is loosely upheld. I want to share with you the case that served as inspiration for my project and how it shed light on the consequences of language access barriers. As an intern, I was invited to observe a case hearing at the Labor Commissioner's office. What I observed was a language access barrier significantly affect the client's ability to meaningfully participate in the court process. The 3 men spoke Mixteco Bajo, which is an indigenous Mexican language that originates in southern Mexican states. And despite fulfilling the requirements to acquire a Mixteco-speaking interpreter, the men were provided with a Spanish-speaking interpreter because the receptionist said that that was the best that they could do, and she offered to postpone the hearing only if the men were uncomfortable moving forward. But nowhere in her expression did she acknowledge the court's lack of due diligence. So from start to finish, I watched the hearing go from bad to worse, and a judgment left undecided. On the way back to the office, I reflected on the hearing, and I saw it as an opportunity to challenge the legal system's best we can do defense. Research and conversations with other staff attorneys at CRLA led me to discover that California is 39% Hispanic and rapidly growing, and Mixteco Bajo is the second most spoken language after Spanish. However, there is only one registered Mexican-speaking interpreter in California. This disproportionate ratio is a visual illustration of the legal system actively discouraging indigenous-speaking people from approaching the legal system, thus interfering with the right to due process that can be interpreted as a discrimination based on national origin. When the theory tells us that we are entitled to equality under the law, even more so it is imperative that we uphold that in the practice of law, otherwise it loses its integrity, and the injustice continues, because the quality of justice a defendant receives should not depend on his or her ability to speak English, especially when his or her linguistic facility is beyond their control. Thank you. And now I'm going to introduce Caroline Carroll.
All right, last and certainly not least, I'm Caroline Carroll, and I'm here to talk today about the inequalities in the criminal justice system, particularly for those people of color. The inequalities in the criminal justice system, there are many, and I examined further the legalized forms of discrimination, particularly for people of color. However, the results astounded me. So during the 70s, the prison rate was about 300,000. Today, more than 2.3 million are in prison. And my paper examined the history from then to now, and just different laws that have passed that actually just increase the gap. So for starters, in the 1970s, the war on drugs began. And in the 80s, it progressed. Then we had the prison industrial system. So we started funding for prisons, and then we filled them at drastic rates. And sentencing enhancement laws and minimal sentencing laws only kept prisoners in there for longer durations, and for, might I add, sometimes petty acts. Some drug offenses, many drug offenses, and the way that the government has actually punished and criminalized that behavior is more harsher towards people of color. Powder cocaine, slap on the wrist. However, crack cocaine, you're in there for at least 10 years. States, including California, further limit the privileges and the rights of offenders. For instance, if you happen to become a criminal and you're labeled a felon, you can no longer vote in many states. California, it's not until you're off of probation or parole that you may be eligible. In addition, the criminal justice system, the prison system particularly, has become a very lucrative business. Corporations make millions, billions off of prisoners. In just 1 month, the Corrections Corporation of America, formerly Corrections Corporation of America, now it's called Core Civic, receives about $11 million in funding per month from the government to house inmates, detainees that are immigrants, and that's just for that particular group. Today, the likelihood of a black male going to prison is 1 in 3. For white males, it's 1 in 17. So when I examined if the 3 strikes laws and minimum sentencing laws were actually legalized forms of discrimination, the result, yes, they are. When we have the disproportions, such as 1 in 3 and 1 in 17, play out, we can see that people of color are disenfranchised. So, furthermore, I'd like to also mention that before African Americans or even white men encounter the criminal justice system, they're portrayed a certain way. So when we get a phone call or when we call in to report a crime or a suspicious person, African Americans are more likely to go to jail and in prison and accused of something that they didn't do. We've seen that in several cases, and it's become even fashionable politics, such as Kim Kardashian releasing 17 prisoners for crimes that they didn't commit. It's actions like that, though, that are actually drawing awareness towards the situation. So that is a big step. So, in conclusion, yes, they do face many injustices. And the awareness that documentaries that President Obama, when he pardoned prisoners, at least 166, those are steps towards the right direction. Now we need to continue to have the conversation and to continue to bring light to things like Prop 36, Prop 47, which brings down felony offenses to misdemeanors, sometimes drug offenses, and sometimes nonviolent acts. So let's help our brothers and sisters in need, and thank you today.
En este momento nos gustaría dar la bienvenida al escenario a nuestros profesores de Capstone, los doctores María Villaseñor, Umi Vaughn, Kelly Medina López y Stephanie Spoda. Comenzaremos con la clase de la doctora Villaseñor.
At this time, we would like to welcome to the stage our Capstone professors, Doctors María Villaseñor, Umi Vaughn, Kelly Medina López, and Stephanie Spoda, who will recognize your classes, and we will begin with Dr. María Villaseñor.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. It's my honor and privilege to recognize my class and tell you a little bit about our work together this semester. My section's theme was social identities, politics, and the way forward. And the theme was inspired by the tumultuous political moment in which we are living. In our class, I challenged my students to critically engage the question of whether and how we should mobilize our various social identities for political projects in service of the notion of the common good. My students rose to the challenge of answering these very difficult questions with thoughtful, well-researched, imaginative projects that are inspiring and enlivening, and I think we heard a great representation of some of those projects today. Their projects provided glimpses of their deepest ambitions, their values, their creativity, and their great thinking, and it was a pleasure to get to know them, not only through their projects, but through our time in class. I will miss them very much. I wish them the best, and much congratulations to them as they enter this next phase of their life. So I'd like now to ask that my section please stand to be recognized, and audience, if you could please give them a round of applause. Thank you. I'd now like to call to the stage Dr. Umi Vaughn, who will talk to you all about his section and will recognize his students.
Hello there. In our section on diaspora, we talked about the myriad reasons that cause communities to leave one place and seek new homes in new locations. And we learned about the experiences that are sparked by that movement, innovations in culture, new languages, etc., new forms of art, all those things. We read from the works of historians, anthropologists, journalists, creative writers about diaspora and diasporic experiences. And based on that learning, students created projects that range from newspapers, collections of short stories, well-done research essays, and so on. I'm very proud of all of the students, and I would like them to stand up now to be recognized. Students in my section, I have some certificates for you guys, so stick around for a moment after we adjourn and I'll give them to you. I'd like to now call Professor Kelly Medina Lopez to discuss.
Buenos dias, good morning everybody. I'm Professor Kelly Medina Lopez, and I taught Capstone Section 3, Power, Privilege, Place. Throughout the course of the semester, student groups, or familias, as we called them, explored the intersections of power, privilege, and place through a variety of student-driven themes, including education, documentation status, access to basic human rights, like food, sanitation, and water. Our journey brought us closer to an understanding of our own power, privilege, place in relationship to those around us, and how we might become advocates and allies for those in need, some of which you can see displayed through our lovely presenters and posters here today. I'm ridiculously proud of these brilliant individuals and all that they accomplished this semester and at their time here at CSUMB. Will my section, my familia, please stand and be recognized. Now please join me in welcoming to the stage Dr. Stephanie Spoto.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Spoto, and I had the pleasure of working with students in the 4th Capstone section, Critical Legal Theory and Critiques of Justice. Together, we explored traditional legal theory from classical philosophers like Plato and Aristotle, through Enlightenment philosophers like Hume, Kant, and Rousseau, and ending with critical challenges in the work of Walter Benjamin, Karl Marx, and Akhil Mbembe. I am proud of my students in their insights they've made during the readings and in the creative ways they've developed these insights into projects. So please stand and be recognized.
Gracias a todos por venir al Festival de Capstone de Primavera del 2019 de la Escuela de Humanidades y Comunicación. Esperemos que hayan disfrutado de las presentaciones y de la galería de trabajos.
Thank you everyone for coming to the School of Humanities and Communication Spring 2019 Capstone Festival. We hope that you enjoyed the presentations and the exhibit.
Ahora nos gustaría agradecer al personal y a los profesores de la Escuela de Humanidades y Comunicación y en especial a los profesores de Capstone, los doctores María Villaseñor, Umi Vaughn, Kelly Medina López, Stephanie Spoto, por inspirarnos y guiarnos en nuestro trayecto. Pedimos que los profesores de la Escuela de Humanidades y Comunicación se paren para ser reconocidos.
At this time, we would like to thank the staff and faculty of the School of Humanities and Communication, and particularly to the Capstone professors, Dr. Maria Villaseñor, Dr. Umi Vaughn, Dr. Kelly Medina Lopez, and Stephanie Spoto, for their inspiring and guiding us through this journey. We ask that the faculty of the School of Humanities and Communication please stand to be recognized.
Finalmente, queremos agradecer a todos los estudiantes de Capstone, los presentadores y los voluntarios, quienes han dedicado mucho tiempo y esfuerzo en preparación para este evento.
And last, we would like to thank the Capstone students, presenters, and volunteers who have devoted much time and effort in preparation for the Capstone Festival.
Gracias por acompañarnos y que pasen un maravilloso resto de su día.
Thank you for joining us today and have a beautiful rest of your day.